Hi, my name is John McCann with Truth University. I'd like to focus this video on natural immunity and compare and contrast that with vaccination, sanitation, social distancing, and wearing masks. And as I was thinking about this, I thought about a book I read as a child by H.G. Wells called War of the Worlds. Now, many of you have heard of that, perhaps by the radio broadcast by Orson Welles in 1938, or perhaps one of the movies. But let's look at the book itself and see what exactly it says in comparison to what's happening today. So to set the stage, these aliens from Mars come to Earth. They traveled 35 million miles to get here. And we haven't gone to Mars, and this was written back in the late 1800s. So he was really far advanced in thinking that's sci-fi. But we can learn a lot from sci-fi. And so they travel out that distance, and when they get here, they have this heat ray. They can kill pretty much anything it comes in contact with, plus this death smoke, black smoke, that causes death. And there's nothing that our military can really do about it. And so we're looking like maybe this might be the end of humanity. But then all of a sudden they start dying. But why did they die? That was the question. And so let's look at part of that book called War of the Worlds by H.G. Wells and see what he had to say about why the aliens died.
The last salient point in which the systems of these creatures differed from ours was in one might have thought a very trivial particular: microorganisms, which cause so much disease and pain on Earth, have either never appeared upon Mars, or Martian sanitary science eliminated them ages ago. 100 diseases, all the fevers and contagions of human life, consumption, cancers, tumors, and such morbidities, never entered the scheme of their life.
So many people believe, of course, this microorganism, the simplest form would be perhaps the common cold. Now, the common cold doesn't kill humans because, well, we've become immune to it. But because these Martians had sanitized themselves basically to death, they had no immune system. So what I've come to the conclusion is that I believe that in God that we are fearfully and wonderfully made. And I believe in natural immunity. And I believe that any scientist that says that this vaccination and some of the things that they're doing is better than natural immunity in the long run, I think is somewhat suspect. And I'm just trying to give you an alternative way of looking at all this. So as far as natural immunity, I want to be perfectly clear. I'm not saying that I'm a neo-Darwinian. I don't believe in survival of the fittest to the ultimate. In other words, just herd immunization. Just let everybody catch it, and who dies, dies. And the ones left standing will be the strongest. I do not believe in that. I believe that we are humans, that have a humanitarian aspect to us. And that should include taking care of those that are compromised. They have compromised immune systems. So is there a place for science? Of course there's a place for science. There's a place for vaccination, the social distancing, mask, and all these things. Don't get me wrong. For those people that have compromised immune systems, the young that have asthma or obese, or the elderly who have compromised immune system because of the age has depleted their immune system, I believe that there's a place for it, but it should not supplant natural immunity. I believe that there are people that have natural immunity, and as far as flattening the curve, or they flatten the curve, that means they want less deaths now, but there's still going to be deaths over time. Is that going to be equal to having them all die at one time or later on? I do believe that we should not have, at this particular disease, this virus, shut down the economy like we did. That those people that were not susceptible as much, like 55 and under and children, should have been allowed to continue on as normal. And that way, all those people could have caught it and then built their immunities, and then later on they won't be carriers. But now we've masked them, we've protected them, so now they can still catch it and be carriers later. So I think we've made it worse. We've when you flatten a curve, what you're doing is prolonging the curve. Just remember that. Flatten the curve, you prolong the curve. But there's a balance. There's a balance between natural immunity and like I said, some of these other things. But we need to have that balance. But when scientists seem to be putting vaccination above natural immunity, I become real suspect. So that's my message for this video, and I hope you take it to heart. But I do believe there seems to be, whether knowingly or unknowingly, people in government, the media, and the science community seem to be anti-God, knowingly or unknowingly, that they are putting the vaccination and all these things above natural immunity. And I, for one, do not. I think there needs to be a balance. It needs to be part of the equation. And next video, I will prove it. So for now, this is John McCann with Truth University. And now you know more of the story. Stay tuned. Thank you.
Science does have its place. It should be available to those who are compromised or who desire it. However, the individual and their doctor should be allowed to make that determination. I believe in God and that we are fearfully and wonderfully made. Our sophisticated code known as DNA is programmed to adapt to the changing environment. When possible, we should allow natural immunity to be a major part of the discussion. When vaccination is heralded as the answer, I, for one, become suspect. Unfortunately, most people don't read today. They would rather see the movie or hear the radio broadcast. But for those of you who would like to read the book, War of the Worlds, presented by Gutenberg, go to this website. And I put below the radio broadcast by Orson Welles in 1938. Many of you have heard that, but if you'd like to review it, it's on YouTube. One of my favorites is Jeff Wayne's musical version of War of the Worlds, listed below. And if you go to 715 through 727, it really states it nicely. It says, Martians dead, slain after all man's devices had failed by the humblest thing on earth, bacteria. Minute, invisible bacteria. Of course, he says it nicer. The content of this video is not meant to be advice. It is my opinion, and I wish only that this material be taken into consideration so that you'll be better informed to determine what is best for you with consultation with your doctor.